Maya had spent the entire week drowning in work at the community center, where she served as a youth counselor. Her shoulders ached from long days, long nights, and longer conversations with kids who needed more than she could always give. So when Friday arrived, she put on her best navy blue dress, saved for rare occasions, and headed to La Riva, a place she'd only read about, never visited. A celebration, she'd told herself, a reminder that she deserved some softness. She arrived early, reservation in hand, rehearsing the simple phrase in her head, "Table for one, under Lawson." The lobby smelled of money, not food, but money, as though the walls themselves were seasoned with privilege. Golden light glowed against polished marble, and servers glided across the floor like trained swans. But none of that intimidated Maya. She'd worked too hard in her life to be shook by chandeliers. She approached the front desk with a polite smile. The hostess, a tall woman with a slick blonde ponytail, glanced at her, then at her dress, then at her natural curls tucked behind her ears. Her smile thinned. "Name," she said sharply. "Maya Lawson. I have a reservation for 7. The hostess lifted a clipboard, skimmed it, then, without warning, ripped the reservation slip clean down the middle. Maya blinked. "I'm sorry, what are you doing?" The hostess shrugged with a practiced, icy calm. "We're full. We don't have space." "But that was my reservation. We must have made a mistake," the hostess said, dropping the torn paper into the trash as though it never existed. "Happens sometimes." Maya's heart stung, but she kept her voice steady. "I booked this days ago, and," the hostess murmured, "people book fake reservations all the time. It happens." She gestured toward the exit. "You'll have to leave." Something inside Maya cracked, not loudly, but in a way she felt deep in her chest. Still, she held her ground. "I'd like to speak to a manager." The hostess rolled her eyes dramatically and motioned for someone. A man in a tailored suit, wearing the kind of smirk used as a weapon, appeared beside her. "I'm the assistant manager," he said. "Is there a problem?" Meyer explained, trying to stay composed. He listened with an almost bored expression. Then he chuckled. "Ma'am, La Riva is a fine dining establishment. We try to maintain a certain atmosphere. Your reservation likely didn't meet the criteria." "Criteria?" Meyer repeated. "For a dinner reservation," he shrugged, "people sometimes misrepresent themselves. Your background wasn't quite clear in the system." It hit her like a slap. She understood exactly what he meant. "So let me get this straight," she said quietly. "You canceled my reservation because you didn't like the way I look, or where you assume I come from?" "I didn't say that," he replied, smoothing his tie with smug precision. "But understand, we prioritize guests who match the environment. It's not personal, not personal." The words pierced deeper than if he'd screamed at her. A burning shame rose in her throat, but beneath it, simmering and steady, came something stronger, resolve. She took a slow breath. "I'm not leaving." The man's eyebrows shot up. The hostess stiffened. "I'm not leaving," Meyer repeated. "You will either honor my reservation or explain publicly why you refuse to serve me." Guests nearby were beginning to glance over. The assistant manager's face flushed with annoyance. "You're making a scene," he hissed. "Good," Maya said. "Maybe scenes are what it takes for people like you to listen." The air tightened between them. "Fine," he snapped. "Security will escort you out." He turned to walk away, but before he could take a step, a calm voice from behind interrupted. "Actually, that won't be necessary." Everyone turned. A woman in a crisp suit, confident and unbothered, approached. Maya recognized her from articles she'd read. Elena Rossi, the owner of La Riva herself, and she did not look pleased. Elena's gaze swept from Maya to the hostess to the assistant manager, reading the tension instantly. "Someone explain," she demanded. The assistant manager straightened, suddenly meek. "Just a reservation misunderstanding. I was handling it." Elena folded her arms. "By tearing up a paying customer's reservation, by insulting her, The man stuttered. That's not, she misunderstood. I heard everything. Elena cut in coldly. From the hallway, she turned to Maya, her expression softening. Ms. Lawson, I deeply apologize. This is not the culture we stand for here. Your table will be ready immediately. Maya exhaled, the weight on her chest easing. She nodded. Thank you. Elena then shifted her attention to the staff, and her voice sharpened like steel. As for you, she said to the hostess and the assistant manager, you're both dismissed, effective now. Their faces paled. You can't, the assistant manager sputtered. I can, she said, and I just did. She motioned for security. Moments later, both were escorted out, ironically, in the same humiliating fashion they had attempted to inflict on Maya. Elena personally led Maya to a table, the best one in the house, overlooking the city lights. But Maya, still unsettled, hesitated. I don't want special treatment, just fairness, and you will have it, Elena promised. She sat briefly across from her. You stood up for yourself with more dignity than they deserved. Most people would have walked out quietly. I admire what you did. Maya smiled weakly. Honestly, I almost did walk out, but things like that happen too often, to too many people. I didn't want to let it slide. Good, Elena said. People like them count on silence. The rest of the evening passed gently. The service was perfect, the food comforting, and for the first time all week, Maya felt something like peace. But when she left the restaurant, she didn't expect what came next. A woman from a nearby table hurried after her. Excuse me, she said breathlessly. I saw what happened in the lobby. Thank you for standing up. My daughter was watching, and she needed to see someone do that. Maya blinked, surprised. I wasn't trying to be an example. That's usually when we become one, the woman said with a grateful smile. Others nodded, quietly affirming. And in that moment, Maya realized something powerful. Her voice wasn't only hers. It echoed. Over the next few weeks, the incident circulated online, not because Maya posted it, but because other patrons had. The story sparked conversations about entitlement, prejudice, and the everyday courage required to challenge them. La Riva implemented new staff training practices. Elena publicly addressed the incident, vowing transparency and change. And though Maya never sought recognition, kids at the community center began asking her about it. You really stood up to them. One girl whispered, why, died. I did, Maya said, but I stood up for myself, and you can always do the same. Respect isn't something you earn from people like that. It's something you already deserve. The girl smiled, a little braver than before. In the end, Maya's quiet evening turned into something far bigger than she planned. She hadn't started a fight. She had protected her dignity, and in doing so, had given others permission to protect theirs. Because sometimes the wrong woman, the one they underestimate, dismiss, or try to belittle, turns out to be exactly the woman who changes everything. And Maya Lawson walked away not just with a story, but with a reminder she would carry forever. Strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's simply refusing to let someone else define your worth.